Welcome. This is Federica, part of the Docsity team, and it's my pleasure to welcome you all to this live webinar of UNIMORE. And I now leave the floor to Alessandro Capra, as the delegate to international relations at UNIMORE, who will be introduce us the university.
Thank you. Thank you, Federica. Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon to the colleagues. And it's really a pleasure to be here. Just in order to make a very short presentation of our university. And first of all, I want to thank Docsity to organize this webinar and to have the opportunity to join so many interested students and to enlarge the student and the possibility to know our university. So I have some slides. Here, the first one. Okay, our university is located on two towns, Modena and Reggio Emilia, in the central part of Italy. And here some facts and some news about our universities. We have more than 22,000 students, so it's considered a medium-large university in Italy, with 13 departments, 1 faculty, 1 school, and several degree programs. And I wanted to mention the fact that we have an exchange of students. So we have about more than 10% of recruited, inscribed international students. But a very important question, every year we have a mobility exchange of approximately 600 our Italian students, and more or less 300 students abroad in mobility close to our university. Regarding the English taught English, we have all the doctoral, so the PhD courses are obviously offered in English in different area, and you should find any kind of information on our website, on the international site of our web page. So it's easier to join all the information. In any case, I will be here available to answer to general questions regarding our international activity, in addition to the specific news on the master degrees that the colleagues are going to show you. And regarding the master degree, we have 7 master degree programs, 6 directed or managed by our administration, and other in collaboration with other universities of our region. Then, last but not the least, we have several double degree programs and some joint degree programs with the different universities in Europe and in extra EU countries. So I don't want you to lose or to catch more time, because I think it's very important. Today you have the opportunity to talk or to receive the presentation of 3 of our master degrees taught in English. And so I'm here available for any kind of question. And again, thank you very much to be here. In any case, it's important that you know, you have the opportunity to know our UNIMORE University. And obviously, we hope that many or some of you will decide to inscribe to our courses. Thank you very much. And please, Federica, for the following part of the meeting of the webinar.
Thank you so much. Thanks, and thanks for your availability to answer all the questions that they'll follow. So I now leave the floor to the Professor Luca Selmi. As anticipated, he will be telling us more about the master program in electronics engineering. So I leave him the floor, and we look forward to receiving all of your questions. Just as anticipated, we will be answering to all of your questions at the end of the presentation. So keep writing them into the chat, Q&A, and we'll do our best to answer them at the end of the presentation. Please, Professor, I leave you the floor.
Hello, good evening, everyone, and thanks for being here. Do you see my screen well, and do you hear me well?
Yes, just not in a full screen mode, but yes, we can see.
Okay, yes, that's now it should be full screen.
Great.
Okay, very good. So I will be here talking about this master degree in electronics engineering. The degree is delivered at the Department of Engineering Enzo Ferrari, which brings, of course, is reminiscent of a very well-known international brand of Ferrari. It's a nice area, which is located about 2.5 kilometers from the town center, with more than 110 professors, approximately 10 mega euros budget, 5 buildings, 16 laboratories devoted just to the EE program. And at the university level, we also leverage of 2 large centralized facilities, which are the Large Instrument Laboratory and the Center for Scientific Computing. Now, you all have an engineering background, likely, or a scientific background, so I don't have to explain you what that electronics is about: exploiting material science, solid-state physics, circuit theory, electromagnetism to manipulate information, which means that we want to detect, measure, compute, store, actuate, and communicate information through different media. The question that we would like to address right from the beginning is, why should you choose UNIMORE, University of Modena Reggio Emilia, to enroll into a EE program? Well, my first answer to this is that here you will experience very much research-driven activities, which means that the education that you will receive is tightly connected to the cutting-edge problems that industry worldwide is facing. This is just a list of a few of the European and international projects that are running right now at the department by different professors, and that address different worlds in neuromorphic computing, for instance, sensor, this convergence, new materials for power electronics like gallium nitride, which is a very relevant topic today, electronics for automotive, and so on. As you know, electronics is really pervasive and has driven any innovation, lots of innovation in our world in recent years. But a more objective argument to defend the worthiness of enrolling to EE into our university comes from a very recent poll and verification by ARCA, which is a regional agency which is monitoring the success rates of the universities in the region in terms of international projects, and especially European research projects. And the electronics area is named Excel. So Excel projects are those that have electronics inside, components and systems. And University of Modena and Reggio Emilia ranked first at the national level in success rate within this area of electronics. So this is a more objective proof that it's really worth to come to Modena to study electronic engineering. Now, how do we organize our courses here? Well, that's fairly simple. I mean, if we just make a very gross and distinction, we can identify 2 main areas where this pervasive technology of electronics is actually deployed. One entails the electronics for power, for industrial applications, for large robots, for automation. That's where electronics must actuate, must be powerful, must actuate based on sensing, of course, but that's the field of that we call here curriculum on industrial automation. And that's one branch of our course of studies. The other half of the electronics instead is about low power devices, even zero power devices that can be operated just absorbing energy from the environment and not being plugged to any any power line. Okay, so
I think we just have a technical issue at the moment. I think, yeah, we are back with the presentation.
Okay, can you hear me again?
Yes, now yes, perfect.
Okay,
good.
Very good. So our study courses, our program is organized in basically these two curricula with a common basis in the middle. And this is the organization, which is reflected. At the first semester of the first year, you will strengthen your education on electronics, on topics in electronics, which are fairly general, strengthening knowledge about control systems, communications, and electronic components. At the second semester, you have more about electromagnetics and photonics and microwaves, so high frequency communication through space and the air, and then you start entering into curricular courses, which are for the two curricula that I mentioned before, smart connected or industrial automation. When you enter the second year, that will be a lot based on projects. So these are again courses. Some are more general, these green ones, and many are more specific, but all of them are very much based on labs, are very much based on your own designs, are very much based on homeworks and projects that you will carry out with the tutoring of the professors, so that you can get a hands-on education about electronics. The last semester is very, you have a, let's say, the last tail of the last course, okay, which will be different depending on the curriculum, and then your final thesis. Now, if you sum up the credit points, which are here denoted as CFUs of these tables, you will get less than 120, which is the number that you have to acquire to get the degree. And the reason is that, of course, there are some electives, okay, courses that you can choose freely. We offer a few of them, of course. And among these, I would like to mention especially the fact that you can choose to gain some of the credit points either by an external trainership in an industrial environment or by another project and design activity which can be connected to your master thesis object, okay, the subject, sorry, master thesis subject. So this is not all, because what makes in our double degree, our double E degree especially interesting, I think, is that every year we have electives which are run by non-Italian university professors, meaning that we invite some external expert on specific fields to deliver specialized courses on hot topics on the in the scenario, in the arena of electronics. These are some of the examples that have been of the courses that have been organized in recent years. And as you see, university professors from some of the top ranking or largest universities in the world come for different topics: biosensing, digital design, green photonics, and so on and so forth. So you will not only meet Italian professors, you will be in an international and diverse teaching environment, and you will also experience teaching methods that are diverse and will train you to adapt to different situations. I mentioned about the link of the university to research, and this of course is only possible thanks to advanced engineering laboratories. These are some of the ones where you can run your projects, and especially this activity here, which I mentioned, either external trainership or design activity. This is actually done inside one of the research labs available that you will choose by yourself. Now, just a glimpse to two pictures that just to show you a couple of them. This is the Electron device characterization laboratory. Here we can measure electron devices, so individual components, either on wafer. When I mean on wafer, that means on the silicon slab where these components are actually fabricated. And we have plenty of them here, thanks to many industrial collaborations. I'm showing here one of the samples. And we can do a lot of type of different characterizations in static, small signal, sinusoidal signal, transient RF or power RF characterization. This is especially relevant, of course. And both on wafer and package with temperature control, with a lot of facilities and the instrumentation available. This is another glimpse in one of the other, the second one of our 16 labs. So if the first lab was representative of a smart connected system type of activity, this is more on the industrial automation, industrial electronics type. Here, of course, we are in the middle of the Motor Valley of Italy, where not only Ferrari, but many automotive brands are available. And of course, you can imagine that there is a lot of research on electric vehicles, electric cars, and not only cars. So here there's a lab where it's called melting lab because it's in between mechanics and electronics, and they have to melt together to come together in order to face the problem of a smart, autonomous and electric vehicle. So all the chain of problems that run around, engineering problems that run around the design of such vehicles can be addressed in our lab. Very quickly, external trainership, I mentioned. This is a Google map that we keep updated with a lot of the companies with which we, this is another important point. The Modena area is very rich from the industrial point of view. There's a tremendous need for electronic engineers and lots of opportunities for engineers to find good jobs after their laureate. But of course, you see that we also have links with companies in other parts of Italy and even outside Italy. This is just a limited list of them. And I already talked actually about this, the possibility to replace the trainership with an internal design. One experience that you can also add to your course is that of an Erasmus or overseas type of stage abroad. And we have many connections with many universities worldwide, okay, in Austria, in France, in Switzerland, and even overseas. And you have, again, a Google map and a whole list of them available. One last added value that you can find with EE program in Modena is that it is actually a double degree with the Universidade Tecnológica Federal do Paraná, so with a Brazilian university. If you decide to choose the double degree option that you have, then you will get a degree which is valid in both Italy and Brazil, okay? So your title will be recognized in Brazil as well. And this will multiply, of course, your opportunities to find a job worldwide. So to sum up with what I said, I think that the EE program is an international course entirely taught in English, okay, in a multicultural environment with cutting-edge content. There is a very high satisfaction rate. This is not said by us. These are official numbers, official polls, which are gathered every year by an external institute evaluation for the evaluation of Italian universities. Extremely high employability rate, okay, between 90 and 100% after 1 year from the degree, within the first year of the degree. High salary level, which is higher than the average for all other EE MSc in Italy. Again, it's not us that tells this. These are independent external evaluators. Professional growth, the Emilia-Romagna region, the region around us, is the third highest for GDP per capita in Italy. You have the chance to work with renowned research groups. You have a double degree option, access to international industrial PhD level as well. This has to be mentioned. You could continue after the master with a PhD, okay? And even at the PhD level, you have an option for double PhD degree with the end. So this ends my presentation. These are the official contacts to the head of the master degree course, Professor Vincetti, and the delegate for orientation and enrollment. I will leave the slides. Let me just say in the last 10 seconds that in the slides you will also find a summary of the guidelines for the enrollment, okay? But for that, we recommend that you refer to the official document. You will find the links to the official documents and also a summary of the key information, which I'm not going to explain here because it's a relatively bureaucratic thing. Thank you for your attention, and I hope you will join us in the next academic year in Italy, here in Italy and in Malta. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the presentation. We already started to receive the first question, which is great. Keep writing them into the chat or the Q&A. And now we're moving on with our presentation. It's my pleasure to leave the floor to the Professor Goldoni, who's going to tell us more about the Master in Physics. So Professor, I leave you the floor and we look forward to receiving all of your questions.
Okay, thank you very much, Federica. So this is the master degree in physics, and I'm flashing here the sources of information for the master. So our web page in English, where you can find more details. You can always email the international welcome desk of our university for getting in touch with us or more information or being guided in the enrollment procedures. And you can also, of course, email directly the director of the master, which is not me, is Professor Paolo Bordone, and the email is here. Now, let me spend one word in telling you which is the environment. Of course, we are a department of physics, informatics, and mathematics, which is strongly driven by basic research, also applied research. So our master degree is, of course, reflects our scientific interest and our scientific research and expertise. And of course, as a research department, we are strongly connected with, at the national and international levels, with other research centers worldwide. But even locally, it's a lively environment where we have institutional connections, research connections with departments in applied sciences like engineering and medicine. Inside our building, we also have the headquarters of a National Research Center for Nanoscience from the National Research Council, Italian National Research Council, and connections with the Institute for the Nuclear Physics. We take part to so-called technopoles, which are bodies which make research integrated between companies, universities, and institutions on, for example, energetic problems. We have connections with companies, as my colleague has already nicely described. We are in a very lively industrial environment in Modena, which includes, of course, the automotive sector, but also biomedical industries, which have their research centers near to our university, and we are one of the most important centers for the production of ceramics. And also there are companies in food and packaging which have their research centers in Modena. And in all these sectors, physics degree find their employment easily, and basically more than 50% of our degrees have get to a company after a degree. Now, our training organization is divided in 3 curricula. We have, which I will describe better later. So we have a curriculum in theoretical and computational physics. We have a curriculum in experimental nanophysics and quantum technologies. And we have a curriculum centered on biophysics and applied physics. The 3 curricula are operated in a common way. There are, in each curriculum, you have to take 11 exams, which are mixed between theoretical and experimental courses. Of course, you can take a more theoretical or more experimental path, but the integration between the 2 is definitely an advantage of the physical training. We have very few compulsory courses, which depend on the curriculum. And in addition, we have all others are elective courses, and we also have 2 free choice courses. That means that you can choose 2 courses even from other degrees. That allows you to extend your training to areas which are connected to physics, but not deeply into physics. That allows you to broaden your training in a way which is often very convenient, particularly if you look for a job in a company. We also have a set of special programs. I will tell you better later. And for example, you can also have Italian classes for beginners, which is organized by our university. Now, suppose you want to take a study path in theoretical and computational physics. What you're going to do is to have courses, mandatory courses in advanced quantum mechanics, quantum field theory, statistical mechanics, quantum physics of matter. And then you can choose among a large list of courses whether you want to do more, for example, in fundamental interactions, standard model, string theories, or general relativities, so fields which are very formal and in the basics of the fundamental physics, or, for example, specialize yourself in quantum computation. Quantum computation is the application of quantum mechanics to information, and is the basic of the next so-called second quantum revolution, and likely it is going to revolutionize our technological paradigms. One other area of theoretical physics you can specialize in Modena is about simulating matter, which includes inorganic or simulating inorganic or organic matters, nanomaterials, biological matters, or even nano devices, quantum devices, or and always using the most advanced computational methods. And possibly the largest computers, because such simulations require a strong computational effort, particularly when what you want to study is not only the intrinsic property of matter, but most interesting is how matter interacts with the external world, okay, radiation, for example. Now, if you take a study path in experimental nanophysics and quantum technologies, again, you have a few mandatory courses, which are mostly of an experimental character, where you learn how to build nanostructure, so to nanofabricate new materials, analyze those materials by electron microscopy or scanning microscopies, and even use synchrotron radiation, which is one of the basic tools for physicists who want to analyze matter. Then by a large set of elective courses, you can specialize more, for example, in nanostructure fabrication or in the electronic or scanning microscopies or optical microscopies, of course, or you want to, or you may specialize in studying tribological properties, that is, friction, for example, how friction arises at the between materials. This is something which happens at the nanoscale, which is our expertise. Or you may want to specialize in quantum technologies. That means build nano devices, typically in our case, building nano devices which can be used as qubits, so the building blocks for quantum information processing. Biophysics and applied physics is another curriculum which has no compulsory courses. It's really a curriculum which is with a strong interdisciplinary character. That's why we want to provide, we want students to have the broader training between different parts of physics. Biophysics means studying biological matter of biological origin, from proteins to DNA to cells, with the typical methods of physics, experimental methods in this case. So what you want to study in this case, for example, is how proteins fold up to get to the unique, complicated structure which makes the proteins usable for their physiological role. And that, for example, you can do by picking up a protein and unfold it step by step by a very sophisticated technique which is called optical tweezers. So that's just one technique to study biological matter. If you are interested to physics applied even more in an applied field, which is near to the clinical aspects, so near to medicine, you can have a course in medical physics and maybe a thesis in medical physics, where you really understand which is the role of physicists in an hospital, for example, in radiotherapies, or in the most sophisticated imaging diagnostics. One other aspect which of applied physics is that most instrumentation, advanced instrumentation nowadays, requires a layer of algorithm in artificial intelligence, deep learning, and so on. So in collaboration also with the engineering departments, we have courses which will train our students in such areas. Now about special programs. As it has been mentioned, we at the university have several double degree programs. One is our double degree program with the Radboud Universiteit in Nijmegen, in the Netherlands. This university is one of the best university for research in physics in Europe. It is connected. It has been home to a Nobel Prize, Andre Geim, for a long time, but it is also connected to all projects for cosmic wave detection. And it's an ideal complement to our training. Then you can have, if you enter a double degree program, you spend 1 year in Modena, 1 year in Nijmegen, and you get both degrees. We also have a program of excellence, which means that students which are particularly motivated and have nearly completed their training may ask for a personalized training program of didactical activities, which is run in collaboration with our graduate school in physics and nanoscience. So in a way, this is also an ideal way to go from the master degree to our PhD program, which can be started already at the master level. Of course, these two programs are close numbered programs. They are both excellence programs, but you can always take an Erasmus project. We have several agreements with Spain, French, and Lithuania, and the Netherlands again. And we also have an activity of guiding our students to the job market. Job market for physicists may mean is often the research environment, which has its own peculiarities, or for the majority of our students is the private sector. And we try to guide our students to get the best way, to obtain the best way to enter the job market by connection with professional physicists in the companies and initiatives where our students may meet such physicists which already work in the companies. Now, as I told, we have 3 curricula, but within the 3 curricula are very flexible. So within the 3 curricula, you can obtain several professions. You can become, let's say, expert in several fields, from theoretical computational physicist of matter, so simulate matter with the most advanced computers, study biological systems, or even proceed with a training in medical physics, or study theoretical, the foundations of physics, gravity, and such fields, or quantum information processing, so being expert in how quantum physics, how quantum physics can be used for information processing, or even building the devices which are required for quantum information processing. Or you can become an expert in nanoscience or several nanotechnologies. One thing which you may have noticed in the previous list is that we have also courses in didactic of physics. So you can also prepare yourself for becoming a teacher in the high school. Okay. So all these are possibilities which are very well built in our curriculum. Now, to finish, why should you should consider studying physics in Italy? I think that these are the keywords. Quality means that in addition to the quality of our teachers, there is a very convenient ratio, student to teachers ratio. And our master enrolls about 20 students per year, which means that you have a very direct connection with your teachers, which are always available to discuss your training, to discuss topics that you are more interested in, that you want to go deeper in, or even to discuss your how to proceed in your career, for example. Flexibility is very important and typically very appreciated by students. Our curricula are interoperated in the sense that you can take a curriculum, but you can always get into your studies contents from the other curriculum that you think are suitable to your interest. It is an international environment because of the double degree, because of the Erasmus project, and also because of visiting professors that we have every year giving new courses. In the last years, we had teachers from MIT, from California, from University of Graz, from Australia, and so on. And last but not least, Modena is a small city where everything is easy. It's a lively city and also well connected because, for example, for foreign students, it might be important to know that you have a campus connection directly to the airport, which is 30 kilometers away. So if you decide to give a try to our master in physics, and you may enroll for an online interview. This is our only selection step. It's of course non-binding. You just take the interview and then you can decide what to do. What happens in the interview is that we value your background, and you are supposed to have a background in classical physics and quantum physics applied to atoms and molecules. That is the standard background which is obtained in a bachelor in physics worldwide. And of course, we also evaluate your English fluency because, on the other hand, there is no certificate is required. So your English fluency is evaluated directly during the interview. And maybe it has not been mentioned, but before you don't need to speak Italian to enter our programs, because the whole activity is taken in English. So you are not supposed to know Italian. However, if you want to learn Italian, you have classes, free classes provided by universities, especially for the students of the English total degrees. And finally, I'll just flash you the first slide where you can see the addresses where you can find more information. Thanks for your attention.
Thank you so much. Thanks so much for your presentation. We received some questions. Keep writing them into the Q&A. We will be answering at the end of the presentation. And now I leave the floor to the Professor Lori, and he's going to tell us more about the Masters in Digital Automation Engineering. And also for these Masters, write all the questions into the Q&A box, and we will be answering at the end of the presentation. Thank you so much, Professor. I leave you the floor.
Thank you very much, Federica. Can you confirm you hear me well?
Yes, I can hear you well, and we can now see your screen.
Okay. I will now try to. Okay, have it on full screen. Can you confirm?
Perfect. That's so great. Perfect.
Okay. Thank you again. Thank you. So I'd like to introduce you Digital Automation Engineering. This is a new degree that we are starting right this year. So it's going to start in September. And as Professor Alessandro Capra mentioned at the beginning of this meeting, at UNIMORE, we have 2 departments of engineering, 2 campuses. And we work on the campus of Reggio Emilia on the Department of Sciences and Methods for Engineering. So it's the brother, let's say, department with respect to the Enzo Ferrari in Modena. So why did we start a new degree on digital automation engineering? So first of all, we are experiencing in our production processes an increase in the amount of data that we have to consider every day. And our aim is to train engineers which are able to manage this great amount of data. So we want them to be able to access this data, study them, understand them, and then use them to optimize the system and make it automated. Of course, to make this possible, it is necessary to provide the students, the future engineers, with many expertise. And we have the ambition to start from the basics, so mathematics, computer science, before moving on to the hard engineering technologies that are needed. So you can understand from this very basic introduction that the course is very innovative and of course very interdisciplinary. So in the next slides, we will see what happens in the different years. Of course, it's 2 years, it's a master's degree, and how you can select the courses that you prefer among the many that you will find. We would like to mention also that in our ambition, we will form engineers that will be able to either perform virtual automation, like bots, and physical automation, like robots. So of course, one has to choose which direction he or she wants to follow. But in general, one can also focus on software, either software or mechatronical production of automated plants. As happened for the other 2 courses, also the master degree in digital automation engineering is taught entirely in English. So there are 19 different courses and all of them are in English. So what is the general aim and what are the scopes of our course? It's not the first one in Italy. So it belongs to a class called LM25, Automation Engineering. And you can find 16 such courses of this type in Italy. In fact, ours is different from the others because it's the only one with a clear focus on computer science. So computer science is one of the characterizing subjects, topics of the course. And in fact, it's the only one that has digital in its name. So that gives an idea of what we are looking for. And we will see better in the next slides, but the idea is to start from optimization and statistics. So those branches of mathematics that are really important for this topic. And then move to artificial intelligence, which cannot be forgotten for this kind of engineering. And then we will start working with the students on the harder engineering fields like CAD/CAM, simulations, electronics, mechatronics, and robotics in general. So it is an ambitious plan, but we have 2 years to do it. So let's see first how we can access the course. So there is no limited number, so it's free access. We will look at your bachelor's degree. You should have at least 2/3 of your maximum degree, of the maximum degree of your university, or at least be in the top part, the top 30% of the students that graduate from your university in that year. And we will ask you to do a small interview, and we will check your curriculum, especially at your basics in mathematics, physics, chemistry, your knowledge of computer science. We don't require much knowledge, just one exam on computer science is enough, and your knowledge also of automation engineering. Why we do that? Because we are not limiting our studies for those that did automation engineering as a bachelor, but we are open it to any kind of engineer and also to other professionals or other students that did courses in, for example, computer science or sciences. So in general, apart from the requisites that we can also check in these days, so if you want, I have an email at the end of this talk and you can send us your curriculum vitae and we will check this prerequisite. We also require a good knowledge of English, a B2 level. We don't need a formal certificate, but there are a few options. Like, of course, if you have a formal certificate, that's perfect. Otherwise, if you come from an English-speaking country, that's okay, again. If you have done your bachelor in English, again, that's okay. Otherwise, there will be some exams that you can take at our university online. And it's a quick exam, and that could provide you with the required level. So you have 4 different options. So once this is done, you can enter the course. And the course is done, as all masters, in 2 years. The first year is the same for all students, and it will concern core subjects and some distinguishing subjects. Then you can select one among 3 different curricula. You have digital infrastructure, digital design, and digital manufacturing. We will see them in better details in the next slides. And these 3 curricula will take place at the first semester of the second year. At the second and last semester of the last year, of the second year, you will have an internship in companies, 600 hours in companies, and you will have the thesis that is usually based on the work done in the company. So in the first year, as I was mentioning, you will have common courses. So we'll start with mathematics. So we'll follow advanced probability and statistical methods, then optimization methods for data-driven engineering, that is me, artificial intelligence and data science, this is Professor Monica, Stefania Monica, who is also here in the webinar today. And then we will move to some robots, industrial collaborative robotics, and then electric drives, multi-body simulation, that is typical of mechatronical construction of machines. And then this will end the first year. So if you can see, year 1, semester 1, year 1, semester 2, you will have 6 exams. These are important exams, but at least I think this is doable, very doable. Then at the beginning of the second year, you will study the design and management of automated plants, which is a short exam of 6 credits. After this is done, you will be able to decide which curriculum you want to follow. The first one, digital infrastructure, somehow forgets about products, about virtual, physical robots, and focuses on IT and infrastructure. You will study distributed control systems, and then Internet of Things and distributed software architectures, and then smart system for data acquisition. You can think of embedded systems. And then that all you can see at these exams as something that will give you the possibility to acquire data. And then, of course, you want to process them, and you will have high performance computing. This is really focused on IT and computer science. And there is we are a little bit forgetting about the product. But the second curriculum, it's digital design. This one is really focused on the product. So you will have multi-physics flow modeling, how to model a robot product, computational thermofluid dynamics, digital multi-physics simulation for machine design, again, the design of machines, and then product design and digital development. So this digital design is more related to mechatronics, I believe, and to automation, to the creation of automated products, and why not systems. The last one has more a focus on management, I would say. Digital manufacturing as a curriculum whose idea is to form engineers in the management of industrial automated systems. So we will study virtual solution for smart manufacturing, material design and optimization in digital manufacturing. Then you will also see organizing for digital transformation. So our companies are coping with this new digital revolution. And then, of course, sustainability, which is a key important factor nowadays, and digital transformation again. Once you finish the first semester of the second year, you will be able to to find even a deeper specialized and personalized path. You will be able to select elective courses. You will have laboratory activities, and not giving much details on the laboratory, but we have a few laboratories where you will be able to stress some aspects of what you learned. And then internship in companies and organizations. The territory of Modena and Reggio Emilia is very large in companies. You have noticed that from the previous talks by my colleagues, so I will not focus on that again. And once more, we have internationalization at home by you, international students that are coming to Reggio Emilia, but we are also sending students abroad. We have 41 Erasmus Plus agreements with university in Europe. That's a lot. And you can count on Norway, Denmark, Germany, France, Spain, and so on and so forth. We have Erasmus Plus for Trainership, so agreements with companies that can take you for 600 hours internship, more overseas, So we have agreements with Japan and a lot of Latin America, especially Chile, Argentina, Colombia, and Brazil. And then we do some small projects, short-term projects. The challenge-based innovation project is a small research project based at the CERN of Geneva in Switzerland. A group of students will be selected, will spend 1 week at Geneva. They will be assigned a topic, a challenge. Then they will come home, they will work with other people from all over the world on this challenge, and then they will return to Geneva to provide the outcome of this period project. What happens after completing this? Then with that, I will conclude my presentation. So there are various possibilities. Of course, you might want to have access to a doctoral or postgraduate courses, of course. We have different PhD schools. One is the PhD school in Industrial Innovation Engineering, and it's done entirely in English, and it's based in Reggio Emilia. Otherwise, you might want to look for employment in companies. We have many companies that collaborate with us in the creation of robots and in the management of automated plants. So we have very different topics. So the first topic I mentioned here is data management and process management specialists. This is more software development. And again, if you think at robotic process automation, we are working with a bank, and this bank is doing a bot to be able to do process more and more in an automated way. And this is going to be a laboratory. And then, of course, you might want to be a specialist for the development of automated production plants. And there is a huge need of this specialized engineers in our territory, or design and control of robotic systems. So I know 10-15 minutes are not enough to describe everything, and you probably have more and more questions, so you may feel free to ask them now, and I will let Federica continue and deal with your question. Otherwise, please consider the name, the email at the end of the slide. You can send us all your questions, and then we will be happy to answer you. The call for application is not open yet. As I was mentioning you, this is a very new degree, a brand new degree. We plan to open the call on 15 June, and we will start the classes hopefully on 15 September. So thank you very much. And if you have any questions, please let me know.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much to the professor. As mentioned, it's super hard to try to summarize everything in 10-15 minutes presentation, but you all did a great job. So moving forward to the questions, so we received questions while you were presenting. And one of the first questions that we received was actually for the Professor Salmi. So they were asking us if you need any sort of work experience to a role, or if is, the work experience will be considered to enroll into this master program.
So the question is about work experience.
Work experience, if it's needed to enroll, if they need to put it on the application process.
It's not a requirement for enrollment. Okay, actually the requirements are quite similar to the ones mentioned by the other courses. So there is a B2 level, Cambridge B2 level for the English. Okay, which and a basic knowledge of all STEM subjects. Okay, so typically this is true also for European, non-European students. You can enroll in the electronics engineering with an engineering degree and maybe some extra, a little bit of extra knowledge on the typical electronics. So the industrial training is not mandatory. It's not even mandatory for the master. Okay, it is an option that you can choose, but you could also choose an internal research project. Okay, so that's part. And if you both of them, either the external trainership or the internal research project, can become a unique continuum with your master thesis. Okay, so that let's say a more comprehensive thesis can be built out of these joint activities.
Perfect, thank you so much. We had a question for physics master. So Oscar is asking us if all the classes will be in English, and actually they're asking if you think it will be harder to find a job or continue with a PhD without speaking Italian.
So yes, all lectures and laboratories, all activities and the thesis presentation, all activities are in English. And no, I would say no, because it's to the second part of the question. If you proceed for a PhD, we have a PhD school in Modena. It's a PhD in physics and nanoscience. Of course, it's an English, completely in English program. And in general, any PhD in Italy or worldwide will be run in English. So speaking Italian, not speaking Italian is not a disadvantage for a PhD program, to enter a PhD program, not in Modena nor in other places in Italy. If you are going for a company, well, physicists tend to be employed in very highly technological fields. So generally, in general, it's quite common that the language you work with is mostly English. Of course, in a company you may have also relationships with other smaller companies or clients and so on. So speaking Italian is probably something which is desirable if you look for a job in a company, but it's also something that you can do, that you can obtain during your master studies, because the university provides Italian classes for absolute beginners and for free, exactly for foreign students enrolled in the English taught programs. So at the end of the master, you will certainly master somehow Italian to a level which is sufficient to live in Italy and also to work in a company.
Perfect, thank you so much. Thanks. Professor Iori, they were asking us regarding the master. So you mentioned it's actually a new master, and we remember that the application is actually June 15, so there is still a bit of time. They're asking us if there is any sort of internship that is part of the master program, and if you are planning to have some sort of agreement with companies. So you mentioned before banks, but if there is anything that you can actually mention us.
Yes, we are already collaborating with several companies in automation engineering, and these companies are willing to accept the students for an internship, which is a formal part of the study process. This internship will last 600 hours, so you can consider 4 months at least, and usually each company has its own details about how the internship is going to be made, and maybe everything is going to be in present or partially in presence and online. But in any case, there are companies, there are agreements with companies, and all students will have to do such internship. Usually this is the basis for the master's thesis that will then be defended at the end of the studies. I hope this answers.
Absolutely, thank you so much. Juan is asking us regarding physics, what should I do for apply to a program of theoretical physics and computational physics? So if there is any sort of steps to perform.
The enrollment in this curriculum is the enrollment in the Master of Physics in general. So the curriculum is just an internal organization. So you just subscribe to the website of the university, and the general website of the university, check the Master in Physics and ask for an interview, which will be done online, of course, via Skype or some other tool. During the interview, we'll discuss your interest. If you are interested in theoretical and computational physics, we will test if your training, if your previous university studies are suitable for this curriculum. And we will ask your questions about this curriculum. And if it is useful, we will also guide you through the choice of the correct courses for a good training in theoretical and computational physics, depending on your interest, of course.
Perfect, thanks. Beginning of the presentation, the Professor Capra actually mentioned us about the city and the university. So they're asking us if Modena is an affordable city for foreign students. And one question was also regarding scholarships, if there is any sort of agreement in place from the university.
Oh, yes, it's affordable. It's a wonderful city, Modena, obviously, and Reggio Emilia too are very, very nice town, and the quality of life is very, very high, and not only for international students from abroad, but even for the students from other parts of Italy. So one of the reasons that we have many students from other Italian regions, and the cost of life is affordable. With respect to in case scholarships or something like this, and all the facilities and so on. Regarding the scholarships, our university, like as the other university of our region, we are connected with the system of right of study in Emilia-Romagna region, like the other region, and the student should apply to this in order to receive scholarship in case of the salary of the parents and the situation, and even with respect to the results they obtained at the end of the college, of the secondary school, and before coming to university. Depends on the different countries and so on. So it's possible to apply, and when they ask for information through a common platform, Universitali, common for all Italian university, through this is possible to receive information regarding the way and the time to apply for the scholarships.
Perfect, thank you so much. There is one question. So they're asking us if those masters include visits to the main industry in the sector located in the area. So if there is some sort of practical activities that also involve company VTs or practical. I would like to ask maybe each of you, maybe we can start with the Professor Salmi, if for the electronics engineering, there is some sort of practical experience. Then I'm going to ask the other. Thank you.
Yeah, in general, yes, this is quite common for engineering studies in general, I would say. All courses at the master level, each professor typically organizes visits, organizes projects, organizes interactions with companies, even outside a full trainership in the industry, which could give a significant number of credit points. These are, let's say, scattered activities under the responsibility of the individual professors that add on what is foreseen in the curriculum, in the program. So it's difficult, I mean, to list all of them, also because each of us likes to change these every year. Just to give an example, next week and the week after, I have invited two international speakers from industry, and they will also propose topics for small projects, and last year we had visits and so on and so forth. I would say this is quite common in our universities for the engineering programs.
Perfect. Professor Goldoni, anything else particular to mention regarding this part?
Yeah. Well, one thing most of our students normally take a thesis project, and in physics they are in some fundamental research and typically are very much motivated in internal projects. However, if a student has a special interest in a project which is related to companies, there is also room for such projects which are typically run between our department and the company, or for example, in the case of medical physics, together with the local hospital. The other thing which happens is when a student has an interest in a specific industrial field, for example, it's easy for us to find a colleague which is working in that environment and ask if the student may have an interview just to have an idea of the environment, if it is something they are really, the students is really interested in, or how to get into that context. One final thing which is possible is what we value in our master is the participation to design thinking projects which are organized by the university. What that means is students gather in interdisciplinary groups. So in each group, you may have students in physics, or in engineering, or design, or even economics, law, or medicine, and so on. And these interdisciplinary teams approach a problem which has been put forward by a company and financed by a company for the required activities, which often also involve traveling abroad for short stay. This is an activity which is organized by the university as a whole, where our students often participate. It's a closed number activity, but 1 or 2 students everywhere take part in this activity, and we value this activity in our master in a specific course with a specific number of credits, of course.
Perfect. Professor Iori, we already mentioned about companies, so if there is anything else that is worth mentioning or some specific details that you wanted to share with us. I think maybe the microphone.
Sorry.
Oh yeah, perfect. Now we can hear you. Perfect.
Sorry, my connection went down for a moment. I'm just confirming what Professor Selmi said. In engineering, it's typical to have visits in company. So we organize visits to company. I would say that we also do the other way around. So we ask companies to enter the university and give small courses. For example, I'm teaching part of my course on data-driven engineering processes is on the use of simulation software for industrial automated plants. And this part of my course is going to be given by an industrial expert. So a consulting company is going to come and teach how they do that in practice to the students. That's all.
Perfect. So thank you so much. So we're coming towards the end of our presentation. I'd like to thank our speakers. I'd like to thank all of you for being connected and for all of your valuable questions. We will be sharing with you an email after this event, which contains the main information that we share with you today, a recording of the event. There will be an email address that you can reach out in case you have any further question. So it will contain relevant information on the website. You can find applications deadline, and so you can get in contact with the speakers and further your interest into UNIMORE. So really wanted to thank you all for your time. And we look forward to seeing you soon at the next live webinar or maybe in the university. Thank you so much and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye, everybody.